leg, our drive leg, and then also my lead leg. That my lead leg is pointing to wherever I want to attack. So if I'm a pull guy, which I'd say 8, 9 out of 10 guys are going to be pulling, and this means any attack, single, double, high crotch, they're probably going to pull the leg to them. There's very few guys that are actually, they chase down a leg. Brett Metcalf would be an example of someone that he shoots high C, and he actually he's constantly running at that leg. But most guys are going to pull that leg to them. So if I'm a righty, I'm shooting right hand single here, and I'm pulling this guy to me. When I pull, I'm always thinking about a lot of different things. When I pull, I'm already lowering my level to where I'm beating his head and beating his chin. Okay, if I pull and I'm higher than him, okay, it's going to take me too much time to lower level then, and I'm already going to miss my opportunity, at least against a high level guy. But when I'm pulling, I'm thinking about kind of pulling myself into a spring, okay, and I'm getting this bend in my back leg. I always have to have a bend in my back leg for my power. I think probably one of the best world level guys at doing that is George Burroughs. They drop far leg completely back because they are getting that, they're not lying, they are changing levels, right? Okay? It is a quick way to change levels, but you're doing it at the compromise of losing power. And then the only thing you have to drive off of is ankle, so you're going to end up not getting fully in on the attack that you want to. Whether this is double, single, high crotch, and this is a lot of time in practice, we'll start off with just drills that we're not finishing attacks, but I just want to see them have a good level change of speeds, really driving off their double. I want them meeting chest to leg before their knee hits the ground. Okay, once my knee hits the ground, I lose power, and the only thing, wrestlers are kind of stupid. Okay, once we commit to something, we just have a hard time retracting out of it. Okay, so if I have the mindset of I'm changing leg bend and driving off of it, really, and I tell our guys, especially when we're doing those drills warming up, I want you consciously thinking about using and engaging those muscles to drive and penetrate to get to that leg, and let your knee float. Again, whether it's single or high crotch or double, but let your knee float, that you're letting it get to where it needs to go. That's another, probably the second biggest area I'd say for trouble. When I go pull, this is also an important thing. Thumb in front is a push, thumb behind is a pull. Okay, so I might be playing with different things. I'm pushing around, moving this guy where my thumb might be moving from, I might go pull, then I might go push, and I might go pull again. My thumb has to work with that. Okay, thumb has to work with that when I go pull. To go into one little, okay, and just enough to compromise into where he wants to adjust back, right? No one wants to wrestle me like that. So he's going to power himself back. So if I'm twisting shoulder, that means I'm pushing one, pulling the other. So one's going to be thumb in front, one's going to be thumb behind, depending on which one I'm pushing, which one I'm pulling. Here, he adjusts back. As he adjusts that, a guy like Hale, what he was going to, he might have been twisting shoulders. This guy starts to press it back. He lets thumb slip, pulls, goes ankle, and really firing off that back leg. Again, second biggest troubleshooting issue is knee placement, that we're going to be punching it down to the mat too early, and then I go meet the rest of the way with extension, and that's trouble. The third area is going to be shoulder. So wrestlers, we think that being tough and being gritty and squeezing and doing something really powerful, they would in the weight room, that's the same thing in wrestling where it's not. So when I shoot single leg, guys, a lot of guys are thinking, I need to shoot really hard, and they tense and tighten up. Chest tightens, shoulders tighten, biceps tighten, and if that happens, more than likely I'm just going to go plant my shoulder right into his thigh, in which case I just did his defense for him. And if I go punch shoulder into thigh, I pushed his leg back. Okay, now it's going to be really, really easy to defend, or for him to defend. If you think about, we'll go into it next, actually finish in single, but if you think about the trouble areas of single leg, of me finishing, right now my shoulder's in front of his leg, and I'm really, really extended. As soon as my shoulder gets behind, then it's really, really easy to go shelf finish. Okay, so, at the end of the day, shoulder placement is probably one of the biggest things, but you hardly ever hear anybody talk about that troubleshooting problem is is I'm back stepping too far and I completely lost power. There's no bend in my leg anymore. Okay, so anytime I pull, like I'm always thinking about pulling myself in foil. Lead leg's pointing where I want to go. And then the second big problem is that I drop knee too soon. So I gotta focus on, you really have to have your athletes kind of actually consciously focus on it. Because right now they just think like, think about it to equate it a little bit more to weight room, where they have to actually have a good change of speeds and drive. And they have to actually cover some distance. Okay, you can kind of see my toe marks where I just slid all the way to. Okay, so I have to let my back toe drag with me and my knee get as far as it can go. Okay, I'll let the end of my float determine where my knee's going. Okay, versus me planting knee down and that determines everything else. Okay, let my change of speed determine everything. Okay, that's where my knee landed. Okay, so that's the second big issue is where my knee stops. So let that go, float and go as far as it can. Same thing again with double leg. Let that knee just kind of slide as far as you can. And then the third thing is that shoulder. So even backing up to when you're shooting, that my shoulder's not too tight. Okay, that I'm just going. Because I could do both those things really, really good. But then I went tight on my shoulder, and that just stopped everything. There's no more momentum. So I have to think about just keeping that shoulder nice and relaxed and letting it get into that pocket behind the backside. Extended, I would say this is probably an 80-20 position in his favor. Right now on our feet, this is 50-50, and it's not as taxing on me. I would rather spend extra time here to make sure I'm gonna get to a 95-5 position, right? Spend extra time on my setup so I can get to that position versus being here. Where, yeah, a lot of times if you're a stronger athlete, you're good in that technical position, you're good strong polar, you can get to it. It's just not as efficient. Think about that position. Have them really think about floating that knee, not digging it in the mat too early. Okay? Have them really think about, and over-exaggerate, not tightening up that shoulder. Make sure they're keeping it nice and relaxed so it has a nice good swing that is catching right behind. That's an easy thing. All three of these areas, especially if you watch film afterwards, or even just watching them drill, that's easy things for a coach to pick up on and see. Easy things. Okay? Making sure their shoulder's nice and relaxed and punch around backside right away. My ears nice and squeezed tight. So for finishing, if I get to that mat and I do that by everything is driven this way, it's happening through my ear and my shoulder, okay, that I'm driving and attacking that hand. Once you see shoulders are compromised, the guy's not leaning correctly and driving towards that, he's actually more off that hand. My shoulder gets placed on the mat, my head's on the mat because he's leaning into me. Okay, so shoulders behind, driving it forward, then I can start using my knees, okay, to get behind this foot, okay, and get it shelved. Okay, from here I'm just climbing the rope. And I'm thinking about pulling him in just a little bit, okay, just enough to give me space and that he's kind of leaning into me a little bit, and then I kind of disappear back underneath again. Okay, to get that shoulder behind and get my elbow dropped so where it's harder for him to square up on me. And then same thing, I'm just continuing to lean through that far hand, get behind using my in his hip, right? He hips into me and my head goes down. Okay, if I can knock his hip the other way, it makes it easier for me to finish. So I'm gonna do this by, see how his heel's kind of like leaning into me, that's what's giving him that hip pressure. Just gonna go knee down on it, lock it down. Now I can go start sneaking shoulder behind, with the shelved. Another trick, if you're a longer guy like me for your weight class, I can even when I went and chased it down, I compromised myself and my head went down to the mat. No harm lost right now, so I'm gonna use my free hand to go underneath and actually grab that heel. Here. Then I can turn it. Finish now. Okay, so I'll circle and kind of get back to perpendicular here. Okay, my inside knee is just gonna go knee slide underneath his foot, or underneath his shin here, okay, and I'm actually gonna suck it up to this outside hip. So I'm gonna have to do kind of a knee replacement. I use my knee to kind of get in nice and tight here. Now my other knee's gonna come up, plant on the mat, and then this one's gonna rotate up. Now I'm just gonna finish from the outside. Lots of different things you can do here. I can knee slide, hook, get long, I want to keep this thing. I got it shelved. I don't want to lose that. Meaning I don't want to go get antsy where I release it to go chase far leg, and then I just get stuffed. Okay, so if you got this thing shelved, if I'm gonna go chase far leg, it's gonna be because I'm long, and I can go snake down and grab it and drive him down. Or again, I'm doing a knee slide and hook. Back to the driving. Or if you like to go finish up. If I want to come up to my feet, this is where you gotta be worried about guys that dive. I like guys that dive. It's more like I'm gonna put them on their back. I just gotta be ready to drop my hips. Okay, but I want to get a little bit of space. He still kind of got me tight with this whizzer. As I come up, my hand on the mat, I'm gonna go thumb down right in his neck. I'm gonna extend him away. And then this is this.